On this episode of Pennies Going In Raw, we have the Master Furu, Mr. Zack Morris, in an exclusive interview. We also have This Week in the Market and our swings, along with something very important, the SPAC attack.
Hey, yo, check 1, 2. This is Flavor Flav in the building for the Atlas crew.
Atlas Trading, what the fuck is up?
There are traders, there are prodigies, and then there's legends.
We're up 4%, baby.
No way.
4 fucking percent. Buy the fucking dip.
Hey, who told me about IDEX?
Like, dude, what the fuck? Like, someone just made, like, a lot more money than me on my trade.
You find out life's this game of pennies.
Did you check the portfolio?
Pennies. The margin for error is so small.
I bet Warren Buffett never did that.
And they out there making money right now off of penny stocks.
Them two guys is putting in work to make y'all rich.
The pennies we need are everywhere around us.
Time to think big.
Pennies Going In Raw.
Featuring Dan, Deity at Dips.
And Hugh Honey. Produced by Vinny Strokes, baby.
Welcome to another episode of Pennies Going In Raw. Today is Sunday, December the 27th, and it was a Merry Christmas and a short week last week. SPY did have a pretty big dip on the first day, but definitely recovered. What did you think about it this week, Hugh?
Yeah, this week was the typical Christmas week. We saw, I was watching SPY pretty closely. We saw about 60% of the volume that we normally see. If you guys remember, I think it was 2018, Christmas Eve, the market saw like a 6% drop right before close. And that was because a headline came out. And the reason that it dipped so much was not because the headline was so bad. It was simply because there was just no bids because nobody was trading. So that's typically what we saw this week. If you look at seasonality reports, usually if there is a dip during this week, which is what we saw technically, then that usually is a buy the dip into the end of the year. Obviously, this year is a little bit strange because the market's just been on a parabolic move since March. But usually you can see about a 2% move up inside the last week of the trading year, which is also called the Santa Rally.
And the Santa Rally, so you are definitely expecting us to get a little more pop right before the end of the year. And one thing that we've seen getting some pretty big pops recently are some of these SPACs. AMCI and IPOC both expected to go into or finish their merger before the end of Q1. IPOC even as soon as the beginning of January. IPOC went up around 45% this week, and AMCI went up a good 30%, I think, as well. What do you kind of have on this?
Yeah, so, obviously, IPOC, I think can we credit ourselves for the IPOC move? Because of Benzinga?
Yeah, I did hold up a sign on the hit show Benzinga Power Hour this week, and ever since, it has just skyrocketed. So if someone is going to take credit for that move, I think it should be us. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to put that. We might have to put that inside the new podcast description.
Yeah, we'll put that in the credentials. Yeah, another one.
Yeah, so IPOC, they have their vote coming up the first week of January. That's going to be really exciting because the market cap is sitting at, pretty undervalued. I think they're valuing the merger at around 30 billion. So I think like a move to 22 to 25 should happen. Especially by that merger date, if not, kind of what we saw in like the KCAC merger, which it turned into that the QS, which is now trading at like 120, where like the merger, where the merger was valued at, let's call it like 50 billion and the market cap was sitting at like 30 billion. And then when it gets to a certain point to where there's so much volume and it's just going parabolic to where the market cap doesn't even matter anymore. It goes from being undervalued to being overvalued. And I think that's the kind of move that we could really see with IPOC. It's undervalued right now, but I think that if it gets enough volume and it gets, enough eyes on it by, when the merger is approved, if it's still sitting at undervalued, we could definitely see a huge parabolic move.
Yeah, so when you're seeing a lot of these SPACs run, I know it was kind of a joke that they made on the Benzinga interview, but he kind of just mentioned, would I have luck just putting my whole account into just spread them all into seemed like bottomed out SPACs? And at the time it kind of seemed funny, but then I thought about it a little and I was thinking maybe that's not a bad idea.
No, I mean, we talked about it on Benzinga, but it really does seem like simple right now that, I mean, they all open at like what, around $10. Most of them are valued 70% higher than what the stock is trading at that $10 mark. So theoretically, it sounds so simple. But what we touched on Benzinga was that, yeah, right now it's working great and it might work great for the next 8 months. But there's always going to be that time where the momentum shifts. And if you're caught holding that bag and you just keep buying the dip and buying the dip, we're going to see what happened in 2008 and the dot-com bubble. Everyone thinks that the dip is going to be the low, and then they keep buying until they sell. And then that's the low. And so that's why, I still have a good chunk of all SPACs. And it's funny because, you and I and Zach and PJ, and we talked about it and we're like, it seems so simple just to throw your entire account in, an IPOC. And theoretically that would be amazing. And right now that's what's working. And how many followers are we seeing that are just tripling their accounts every week?
Yeah, I mean, it's so many, and it's like a good feeling, but at the same time, it's definitely worrisome to feel like maybe, it feels like almost March again with how easy some of these gains are coming.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not as fast with halts up on low float penny stocks, but I mean, it's just every day with some of these. And then you even see things you already know, like Fubo just going from 9 to 60 over the course of 2 months, just everyday green.
Yeah, and I think that this is really going to be like our warning is that, that this market, this could be the new normal for the next year or two. But I really think that when interest rates rise, I really think that we're going to see a pretty big pullback, probably in the 35, depending where SPY lands, we could see a 35 to 40% pullback. And the last thing that I want to be doing when SPY starts heading down is thinking that a 5% dip is the dip to go higher. So I really think that, I'm playing the SPACs. I got a good amount of AMCI, I got a good amount of IPOC, I got a good amount of GHIV. I've been looking at that GIX. But that being said, I wish that I put my entire account in IPOC, but I'm still being cautious because I do think that we're seeing kind of like the tech bubble where, anything that was in tech was just running, or weed stocks in 2016, 2017, or the blockchain stocks in 2017, 2018. It just seems so easy. Anything that has the name blockchain attached to it or weed attached to it or tech in the dot-com bubble is running crazy. But the second that stops and the trend changes, if you are that person that is throwing everything into anything that's a SPAC, just know that when you start to feel the trend change, get out, take your money and run.
Party close to the door. Whenever the cops get there, be ready to dip. Yeah.
I like that. I love that a lot. Yeah.
But like you said, with expecting SPY to eventually have that big pullback, it's kind of crazy to even imagine it. Just taking the dip it took in March, although I say dip, I meant like crash to 220, in March. And it's crazy to think about it even going there as it hits 370,
No, exactly. And that's the thing is that I still think that 400's inside our near future. But I think that, we're going to continue to run, but I wouldn't be surprised if we went for the 400 and then we corrected maybe when we get closer to the transition of the White House. If we get closer to that and we see kind of a correction, maybe back to the 350 range, and then for the next year and a half, again, just another move higher. And then after a year and a half, when interest rates rise and we really see the effects of Corona go away, think about this. The Fed is buying $120 billion worth of bonds every month right now. That's what is keeping up the market right now. $120 billion a month. So when they stop doing that, it sounds simple, but but most people don't take the time to understand what the Fed's doing. The Fed anybody can borrow money for almost no percent. The Fed's buying 120 billion in bonds. When they stop doing that, that's when I think that we see a 40% correction. And again, the game is rigged because of the circuit halt downs, but I mean, we could see a trickle down for 6-8 months.
Definitely something to think about and stay aware of as that time may approach. And that's definitely the thing, is that you never know when it's going to happen. And that's what's so exciting. All right. So to kind of end out this section, what are your 3 favorite SPACs going into the end of the year and Q1 2021?
Yeah, so I mean, definitely with the merger date set for IPOC for the first, or the vote, I should say, being inside the first week of January, it's going to be IPOC. But pretty soon, as we start to get closer to that 20 range, I'm going to start to scale out. And then that's when I'm going to start looking for dips. More in AMCI. We're up a good percent in AMCI, but on any dip, I'm accumulating more AMCI. I'm just going to take the profit from IPOC, put it into a dip on AMCI, and GHIV. GHIV, I mean, GHIV had a good week too, but everyone was focused on IPOC and AMCI. So, GHIV is going to be that one where I think that, I'm just going to start accumulating on any dip. And after all eyes move away from IPOC, after all eyes move away from AMCI, then I think GHIV is going to be that next IPOC kind of move. Yeah.
And aside from that, are you playing mainly commons, or are you playing any options on these?
Not on these.
Because I actually noticed a lot of people. Yeah, because I remember Kenny Powers and Atlas mentioned to me about IPOC calls whenever they were about like 80 cents. And I actually, for $20 in March or February, and I just got up to 100% on those and took some off. But playing a lot of these options on some of these calls that are a little further out is seems to be safe in a lot of them. I know a lot of people might have gotten burned by the SPAQ, but definitely something to maybe toss a little change in if you want to, even if you're just dabbling in options, it's definitely a safer way to kind of learn what they do.
No, it definitely is, especially because you have that merger date. So we're expecting all the SPACs to run into that merger date or that merger vote. So no, it's definitely safer as far as like a timetable on the options. Just me personally, I was looking at the implied vol on all of them, and the vol was higher than what I would want to. And, as we went over inside the options podcast a few episodes ago, was that when there's a higher implied vol. A few
episodes ago? That was like 14 episodes ago.
Wow. Was it really that long ago?
Yeah, it was like 4 months.
Wow. I just feel like we've been going for 4 months.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So, yeah. So, I mean, basically, when the vol is higher on them, that means that, that your break even is higher. So that's why I don't really like to play anything with over a vol of 120. And that's just my personal preference. But no, for sure. If you're looking to throw a few bucks into some options, because they are cheap. The options are cheap because they're farther out. The options are cheap, so you can buy $200 worth and make $600-700 on it. But for me, I'm not buying 5,000 contracts of
for sure
of a SPAC. But yeah, no. So I really think that would be the best option though, because they do have a timetable, which is beautiful.
Yeah. Well, as we conclude our talk on SPACs, how about we talk about them with the guy who calls them all? No further ado, no introduction necessary. The Mr. Zack Morris interview.
Woo-woo.
All right, and now welcome to the show, Master Furu, Mr. Zack Morris. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas.
Hey, we did.
Yeah, we are recording this the day after Christmas.
This might be a bigger day than Christmas itself. Today is Miss Dippity's 25th birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yep, she had me. She's turning 1 year younger than I am today.
Wow.
It's incredible how far science has gone.
Wow, it's amazing what money can buy.
Oh, yeah. Well, now moving on from my mom to Zach's story. So I think, just how did you start trading? Like, how did you get into it? Let's just hear from the jump.
All right. So I was working for a home builder, and we sold out of community. They moved me about an hour and a half away from my house. And it was slow, so I started messing around with oil stocks. I lost money, and then I was like, how do you make money with this? I know there's people that do make money. So I went on Google, started researching, found stock twits, found out there's community groups, paid chat rooms. So found stock twits. One of my first big trades was Jivo. It was on my birthday. Before I got into my barber shop, I put $6,000 into Jivo, and then overnight it doubled. It was the day where they had the flight with Alaskan Airlines.
And this is in 2016, 2017?
Yeah, it was around 4 or 5 years ago when I first started. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that. So I got the taste of making money with that. And then I found there's chat rooms. One of the chat rooms I was in, there's one guy's name, I think it was Breakouts. He was calling 3 plays a day. With all the volume in the room, I was making $1,500 every little scalp. So, I was like, this is easy. And it was consistent for, a few months. So I was at the point I saved up some money too. And I was like, well, I guess I don't have to work anymore. I could just do this every day. Yeah.
Yeah. Most, so you just decided to quit your job. You had this steady little gain, but did you really have much idea what you were doing?
No, but I thought it was that easy, because I knew there was a bunch of chat rooms out there, and I thought it was that easy. And that's why I always tell people, make sure you learn everything, because what happens, let's say one day I just stop throwing out calls and, lay back, all these people, you gotta know how to play everything.
Okay. Yeah. So that really anyone can quit calling any day, but on behalf of all of FinTwit, please don't.
Oh yeah. So, that's why it's important to, know how to find your own plays and, know how to play everything, because, when it's dead, in the penny world, you can make money, in the mid cap, large cap world, or, vice versa. So that's what helps me being so successful. So anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought I knew stuff. I didn't know anything. And then, I kind of started learning through trial and error. I met this guy, Frush. He had a free chat room. And then a bunch of us joined him, and we ended up being partners, and we made AscentTrading.net. Cam was an owner too. The thing with the paid chat room is you're focusing on getting users instead of really focusing on making money. I wasn't really focusing on becoming better. I was just focusing on growing our base and, those paid members, which, who cares about that? The money's in the trading. So doing all that, I lost $60,000 too on JNUG. I thought I was catching the bottom. And if I waited a little bit longer, I would have definitely caught the bottom. And it went from $3 to $24. And I think I bought around $5, and I got stopped at around $4. So.
Was that JNUG that was probably a better learning experience for you? You were probably happy that happened in hindsight.
Oh yeah, no, everything, all my losses, all my bad times, thank God. Even before trading, I'll give you a little background. I have my GED. I took a few college courses. I just never, school doesn't teach you how to make money. It just, it's just. Unless you're going to be, to me, school's important if you're going to be a lawyer, nurse, something you could really give back to the community instead of just going for art or liberal arts or, business administration, all that. But, so I got my GED. Then I worked for T-Mobile for 10 years. I was making $60,000 working, part-time. And then I moved to Texas because, there's so much opportunity where I could purchase homes cheap and all that. And then I found out how much the sales rep for the home builders were making. And they were making easily 150, 200. So that I kept applying every morning.
Wow.
I kept applying every morning. I got a million no's till I got the right yes. And then, my first year I was making over 200,000.
Wow.
So,
you seem like you've always been good at making money. You were making $60,000 at T-Mobile part-time.
Yeah, I've always been a hustler. I've always been money hungry. Yeah, I used to sell freaking purses on eBay when I was 19. So yeah, I've always
real, of course, right?
Yeah.
Mostly,
I've always been hustling, yeah. So then the chat room thing didn't work with Cam because, you're focused on getting members instead of growing on your own business.
Sorry, Cam.
So I lost, like I said, I was down to like my $800, started working for a home builder again because, I was going to lose everything. And I know it sucks, but Harvey was kind of like a blessing for me because it gave me my mortgage and my car note at the time. It gave me an extension for 3 months, so that kind of helped.
And for anyone listening that doesn't know, Harvey's a bad hurricane that happened in Texas.
Yeah, sorry. So that gave me a little break there, and that new job was going to pay me commission for like 3 months because homes were still being built and all that. So then I just I told my wife, I'm just going to refocus and, it's do or die. So then this one guy, Brad Mullins, he was AC Slater. We both refocused, we were talking, we were like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to play the news plays every morning. And we just kept, every morning we would talk pre-market and see which headline hasn't gone yet that has a lower float. And we would just play that every morning. And that 800 turned into 30,000 in 10 days. And, the rest has been history.
Wow.
So was that your big like aha moment, the moment you figured it out? Or was that still like, I still got a lot to learn? Or were you a lot more confident this time in what you did?
It was an aha moment, but it was still like, I was on the right track. I refocused and that's when I got on the right track to success. So then we just started paying attention to strategies that really work, catalysts that work. So the thing is that's important is to know, to have a bunch of strategies because sometimes those strategies won't work. They go in cycles. Like, you see these pen plays, like they hardly ever run. Sometimes they'll end up running like crazy. Or like, these bio run-ups. Sometimes they'll work, sometimes they won't. So you got to know which run-ups will work, which won't, and things like that.
Yeah, I feel like just as recent as like the August and September where a lot of people had trouble, and you even took a break from making calls just because of the way the market was. And so many people that knew how to play different styles were fine, but a lot of people that just stuck with those pennies had massive downside.
Well, yeah, and I was also having a difficult time with my, because my followers grew like crazy in March. I remember in March I was celebrating 10,000 followers, and now I'm at 160,000 followers. So, and I understand that if I call something, everybody and their mom is going to buy. That's why, I try to call something that's fit, like, at the bottom where, we have I'm about 100% or more. So all these calls, before I didn't, I just had to critique like my alerts to my following. That's why I kind of took a break because I couldn't alert pennies anymore. So,
yeah,
I just had to find a new strategy that works for everybody.
Kind of speaking on that, since you don't, really call pennies anymore, is that particularly why you've been calling more SPAC plays, or is it because SPAC plays have been working so well?
Well, the SPAC plays are working really well, and and I feel like the SPAC plays are safe for everybody.
Yeah.
And, I that's why, like, I don't feel like, there's a bunch of ones that I like, but they're a little like too high right now. I'm not going to call those. I'll play those on my own, but unless like, unless I see something where when I call it, everybody can make money and that's going to give us dips and all that, then, I feel comfortable calling that.
Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense.
And when SPACs, and when SPACs stop working, then we find something else. There's always something that works.
Yeah. And I think it's something good to touch on was actually, you taught me about the personality of stocks. I'd never, ever really, thought about that until you and I really started connecting. And I remember one of our first conversations, I asked you to look at a chart, and you know what you did? You won't remember this, but at that time you had a different setup inside your office. You had like the 3-and-3 screens or whatever, and you sent me your screens, and they were just level 2. And you said, dude, bro, I've never used a chart. And I ran out of my room and I was like, Mom, like this guy is crazy. And that's when I was like, okay, like I'm missing a key part here. And for anyone that watched the podcast, the personality episode, most of that came from what Mr. Zack Morris has taught, Atlas and really the community about learning the personality of stocks.
And I mean, you could look at the daily and kind of like, I like sometimes now I'll look at the daily and, just so I can see where I'm going. But I play these stocks so much. And, if it's a rotation. They all go in rotation. And that's why it's easy to learn the personalities of the stock. That's why when there's somebody's like, oh, blah, 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 this is going, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is probably going to go over one or has similar like, float and market cap news, like different, like another stock that's run in the past. So that's, you just gotta pay attention to floats and things like that.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, it really is one of those things you just get accustomed to over time.
Oh, and then here's another thing I want to touch on too, because I like to go heavy in trades, and the ones that I go heavy in, like I scalp all day. I play large caps all day and I scalp and all that. But the ones I go public with, I'm not going to go public with something that's going to, people are going to lose money. That's never my intention. So I always try to find something that's safe. And if I know something like IPOC is going to go to like $20-$30, why wouldn't I load the shit out of it? Of course, that shit's going to go. I'm going to load the crap out of it. That's why I load the safe ones. Don't go heavy on the ones, that you go in and you cross your fingers. Doesn't work that way. Just go on the ones that are going to go.
You mentioned how you do like huge scalps every day. I was going to save this for later, but I mean, we're already touching on it. I was going to ask, is this just reading the chart? But now I know that you're not much of the chart guy as everyone else. How are you doing these massive scalps every day?
Well, I'm a momentum guy. So I sit and I sit and wait for news. I listen to Benzinga Charlie. I'll use scans, whatever, all that, the fly, and I just wait for news. If something bad comes out, like on freaking Grub or something like that, or let's say there's good news about Amazon and its Fire Stick, I know right away I got to go short Roku, because I know that's what you got to do. That's that's their competition,
right?
So yeah. I just, that's why I'd say it's so important. You got to know how to play everything, is because I know how to jump to like anything, and make money.
Well, that's awesome.
When it comes to stocks, I don't play futures or any of that stuff. Well, shit.
Okay, well, circling back, so you hit that 30,000, you're with Mullins. Can you kind of touch on what time this is and then how that transitioned into like this huge year that has been 2020?
Well, this was like 2 years ago. And like I said, I just never stopped growing. I just, and then I always used to see Nathan McLeod, Investors on the Ground, Investors Live, and then Awesome Calls AJ. So I joined their rooms, and they helped me become a better mid cap and large cap trader too. Like Nathan with level 2, because I always watched level 2, but I know what I see, but I didn't know how to explain what I see. And Nathan's very good at that. And then AJ is really good at predicting the move too. That's another thing with me going heavy in stocks. If you guys watch these stocks all day, especially the ones that run crazy, you guys see the BS games that go before that, how they'll dip it and then, they'll shake everybody out. So before I go heavy in a trade like that, as long as I'm in low, I just go in and I leave it alone, because I know those bullshit games it's going to play all day. So I just leave it in there. And then at the end, I take my money. And yeah, some of them might not work. Like the ones that sometimes don't work is if the theme ones, if the theme dies, the theme dies. I'm not going to continue calling something just so, we could get out. We take our loss and whatever, we move on.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that a lot of people fall victim to in the whole pumping market is a lot of these people will just call it to get out when there are so many rooms. And I think that's one of the most important parts is finding the right one.
Yeah.
Which is, I kind of think how Atlas started with, you, PJ, and the boys.
Yeah, and how we started that is Cam started his own room, and then he was talking about maybe going paid, and then we were like, all right, dude, we're just gonna, we're tired of this, so we just went to, we made our own chat room, Atlas, and just brought everybody who we thought was good there, and just made it our own.
So I think transitioning more into 2020, how did you exactly capitalize so well in 2020? Everyone could have taken Twitter calls, but you were the Twitter calls. I always just stay with the trend. I stay what's hot.
This year it's been SPACs. And I mean, the market's been running like crazy too. So when the market's high, you got to fucking take advantage of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, and so many sectors run together in this, especially with coronavirus. So many were so hot, even because it just provided so much different sectors to have the availability to be hot.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think a question that we get asked a lot, and I think everyone will want to know your thoughts on it. Do you think that this kind of market is the new normal, or do you think that we're going to get to a certain point to where things aren't running as much as they do? Because I think that's really the question that we get asked the most is. Even though this isn't a normal market, when the market dies down, will there still be stuff running crazy like SPACs and like the way that FCL has ran, and all the different runners?
Okay, so a lot of old school traders tell me that they think it's a bubble and it's going to end. I hope it doesn't. I don't. I think it's going to get bigger because of all the technology we have now, and now the word of mouth. I feel like Corona is really like, since people are home, people know that there's a crap load of money to be made, and it's a good time. We have social media. There's all that. I think it's just going to continue growing. And I mean, where else can you make money this quick?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel, and with so much new volume with commission-free trading and now everyone discovering it. And like you said, the social media and the spread of it. I mean, it's honestly hard to imagine it slowing down.
Yeah. I don't believe it is at all. Like I said, we just got to stay on top of the trends. Yeah. Like one sector will die, but there's going to be a whole new one and other ones come back. Like everybody thought Bitcoin was dead, that it was a scam. And now look at it. It's all time highs. There's always something.
Yeah, exactly. There always is going to be something. I think that's what a lot of the newer guys are going to start to realize. And then it's just how you adjust to it. Could you kind of explain how your Twitter started and then kind of touch on the best ways to take advantage of your Twitter? Because a lot of people may see it and just be like, all this guy does is post GIFs. But there are clearly enough people that swear by your name. So could you kind of touch on that a little bit?
All right. So yeah, my Twitter, I made Zack Morris as a joke. He was always the cool guy. And then there's so many GIFs for him. So I used to post GIFs like regular Zack Morris GIFs, and everybody loved it. And then Zack Attack, whenever one of my plays would run over 100%, I would say Zack Attack motherfuckers, and everybody loved it. And just continued growing and growing. And a lot of people think that it's the real Zack Morris.
Yeah, he's come a long way from Bayside. I know this is probably a simple question, but what do you think is the best way to take advantage of your Twitter?
Okay. I know a lot of people love the GIFs, and, I've been trying to do less GIFs because people are missing the alerts. I mean, GIFs do not mean to buy. We're just celebrating the run. GIFs do not mean to sell either. I'll tell you guys, if I think like for instance, like Fubo, I just felt like everybody's going to attack it now. So that's why I told everybody to put their stop loss on. We've had a great run from like $9 to like, $60.
60. Yeah.
We're highs get slaughtered. So, let's be smart. You gotta think like a short too sometimes. You're gonna be like, is this a good price to short? Yeah, I think it's time to short it right now. So, Fubu, if they didn't attack it, I think it still had momentum to, maybe see 70s, maybe even 100 on stupid volume. Could still happen. Roku kind of had the similar situation when that thing first started going.
Yeah, Fubu, that was ridiculous. So when you alert a stock and you say, okay, I'm buying this or I'm accumulating a position, if you were on the other side of the Twitter notification, would you buy right then, or how would you kind of play your calls?
Okay, I would look. This is what I would do. I would look, how much is it up today? Okay, it's not up that much, I'll buy it. If it's up too much, and I want to be part of it, maybe just buy like 1,000. Whatever. Let's say I normally buy 50,000 shares. Maybe I'll buy 5,000 shares or 10,000 shares, just so I'm in it. Okay. And I don't forget about it. And then once because if you guys notice, there's always that initial pop. Yeah. And then it dips. Just wait for that dip. But unless it's like a news headline or, we're playing with something momentum, but if you're playing my Twitter plays, just play the swings like these. They're the safest. You make the most. You just need some patience. That's all. So make that first little buy. If it's up already, then wait for the dip. And that's when you could like really add heavy.
Yeah.
And see, my thing with adding heavy, like IPOC, I have over, with the Webull and TD, I have over 260,000 shares.
Wow.
Here's my mentality with going heavy. Every dollar is $260,000 in my pocket. So that's why I like going heavy, because like I like working less. I don't like being by my computer all day. I like spending time with Charlie and my wife. Also, I wouldn't be here without my wife or Charlie, because, she always believed in me. Even when I was like, all right, I'm done. Oh, we're going to lose it all. She's like, you're right. Go back up and make that money.
So really what you're saying is that your wife is the real mastermind behind Zack Morris. She's the reason that we have the Zack Morris.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Cause she could have been like otherwise, where she's like, oh, you got to stop trading right now. Like, you're going to lose it all. She was never like that. She always believed in me.
Wow.
Yeah, it's always nice to have that support system for sure when you're trading, something that can be so like treacherous during the beginning, when it can always feel like you can lose it all.
Yeah, and one of my biggest thing, and I haven't touched on at all, is emotion. What helps me big time is, I have no emotions with trading. Like, sometimes like I've been down like $100,000 on a trade, and then I've gotten out with $300,000 in profit. Is because I know what I got myself into.
Wow, that's incredible. So is conviction a big part of your trading? Having conviction throughout a trade, like even when you're down?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm not gonna go in heavy in something, I'm like, just because I have to be really positive, and sometimes I might not get, the price. Like, I might have not caught the bottom, which that's fine. But as I know, it's going to go back up.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you also have the added on pressure of, you called it, you're in it. Not only are you down money, but you have everyone bitching at you that they're down money as well. I can imagine.
Oh yeah. Like, I know, but in the end, I'm right. And that's why, like, now I don't really let people get to me. It's just, I'm going to rewrite in the end and you're going to be happy. Just shut your mouth.
All right. Well, before we get into a final question, is there any trading memory that you look back on as your favorite or fondest? And it doesn't necessarily have to be your biggest win. If it's meeting me, you can just say it.
Dan, hey, I'm right here.
Oh, yeah. What got me, pretty popular too is when I shorted HMNY with TradeNet. They did a reverse split, and then I shorted it every day for a week, and I made $250,000.
Wow.
That was like my first, like.
Nice.
And back then it was like, holy shit, this dude made $250,000 in 1 week.
I mean, it's still like that.
Yeah, I mean, now it's like every hour though.
I mean, you've just upped the ante like too much. I mean, it's not really fair. Like, if you ever quit, everyone be like, yeah, good trade. And then be like, there was this guy who pretended to be a guy off of Saved by the Bell, and he fucking did this 5 times as well.
No, and everybody, like, they're like, why don't you show your face? I don't want the fame. I don't care about, like, the fame. Like, it's not like I'm hiding anything. I'm just like, I like trading's more than enough reward for me, and like, helping everybody out. Like, maybe one day, I'm sure, like, I'm sure we're going to do hangouts in like Vegas and all that shit. But like, it's not like, I just, people like Zack more than me. So.
Yeah. So I think that you brought up a really good point. A lot of people ask, why don't you? Because you could make, you could probably charge $1,000 a week, and I'm sure you'd have 100,000 people lining up the door. Why do you do all of this for free?
Because I make all this money in trading. Why would I want to deal with 100 freaking people?
So it's just out of the goodness.
It makes no sense. I'd rather just. Yeah, it's out of goodness. I don't like. I don't like. Listen, I don't think paid rooms are bad unless it's like some BS penny room where you're paying somebody to front load you, which is stupid. If these, like I said, Investors Underground, awesome calls, incredible trade, I love stocks, those people actually take time to teach you.
So basically anyone except Warrior Trading.
Yeah, Warrior Trading. Yeah, all those scams.
Tim Sykes, all of them.
I think that's what he says is a good point. Like with I make all this money trading, like I don't need the paid room. There's this video of a Furu. He's in an interview and the guy asked him, if you're making all this money trading, why do you need to charge $1,000 per person? And I think that's a good point because that guy didn't have an answer for it.
Yeah, why would I?
Yeah, what's an extra $1,000 to you? Like you donate that, you just donate.
Yeah, If anything, I donate. You got I gotta donate money.
That's awesome.
Yeah. All right, so last question. What is in 2021 for Zack Morris, Master Furu?
Man, I don't even know. 2020 was ridiculous. Like ridiculous isn't even the word. I don't even know. I still don't even know how I got here. This doesn't even feel like real life. I think 2020 has made us all better traders and, all better people. I think 2021 is going to be really profitable for everybody.
I love that. Last question. Mr. Zack Morris, do you have a favorite podcast?
Yeah, it's this one.
Pennies, Gun, and Raw. Y'all heard it here first.
Yeah, and I just want to thank the Atlas family, Bearfucker, Incredible Bob, Athala. She's super awesome. Kenny Powers.
I love Kenny.
Jimmy Turbo, Hamid, Moose, everybody.
PJ?
Brady. Yeah, PJ, he's a nice guy. He's a good mod. Mr. Prez, everybody. Ultra Calls, he's been a great bud too. And Ricky Bobby too. He's actually been one of my best buddies. Me, him, and Hamid used to just trade together for a little while. And
didn't
he's a
you
good
and
buddy too.
Mr. What was it, Gecko? Didn't you guys grow up on the same near each other?
No, Gordon Gecko and I, we used to hang out when we were younger. We didn't even know it. And one day, I went on Atlas Boys, we talked and everything. I didn't even know it was him. And then he messages me on Facebook and he's like, wait a second, are you Zack Morris? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, holy shit. So yeah.
That's so cool. Wow, what a small world this community really has.
Well, we say it's a small world, but also Atlas could just be massive at this point.
It's
80,000
crazy.
people. Yeah, it's crazy what it's become. Well, thank you for spending time with us this Saturday morning. I've obviously got to go celebrate my mom's
Happy birthday. What a woman.
Yeah.
Give her a kiss on the lips from me.
I do every time. I give her one from me and one from you.
All right, thanks, dude.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again, and we'll see you guys next week. Everyone have a great new year.
Yeah, and huge shout out to PJ for everything that he does for us in Atlas. Thanks, buddy. And I want to give a big thank you to all my followers. Thank you for those who've been following me since day one, and thank you for those that just started following me too. I'll continue to give you guys the best calls I can. Thank you so much, guys.
All righty. Thanks, man. Thank you guys for listening to Pennies Go In and Raw interview with Zack Morris. It's taken us forever to finally get this together, and we hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it. 2021 is going to be big for us. We have some new shirts coming out. We're the #1 stock market podcast in the universe, and we'd like to show you guys out with some of our favorite moments from 2020. And before I leave you guys, I'd like to give a special shout out to PGIR listener Spencer. Your girlfriend Lindsay said one thing you would love for Christmas is to hear your name on the greatest podcast in the world. So we hope you enjoyed your Christmas. Keep killing it in 2021. See you guys.
Welcome to Pennies. All right, shut the fuck up. Today is Monday, July 13th.
When the kids go down to bed on Friday night, you want to go to the bar and role play like you guys have never met. But
what the fuck? I imagine she wants the underground pool, and I give Miss Tippity what she wants.
Oh, I'm gonna kill you.
Hugh is single, ladies, if anyone's looking for a psycho. I have a little spelling test for Hugh. Amateur.
Oh, dude, I ain't no amateur. AMEUTER. Wait. No.
ANATEUR. Wait.
Yay! Yeah, no, you got it. Like, I know I'm not the stupidest fucking person listening.
Did she say anything about me?
Who, my mom? It's the year 2026. A meteor's crashed into Earth and destroyed most of civilization as we know it. Only you guys survive. Do you A, chill and wait for the end? B, find a way to use Hugh's feminine body to repopulate? C,
I love you, Miss Dippity.
Aw. Whoa, dude, stop. All right, bye, guys. Oh, that sounded weird. Bye, you got bye. Jesus Christ. That sounded good. That was a good goodbye.